Dust chokes the air like a funeral shroud, the metallic tang of blood mixing with cordite as bullets whip through the jungle canopy. It's 2:17 a.m., July 18, 1968, in the dense green hell of Phuoc Tuy Province, South Vietnam. An NVA platoon sergeant, Nguyen Van Thuc, freezes mid-step, his AK-47 trembling in sweat-slick hands. The gunfire erupts not from the expected American horde, thundering with endless suppression barrages that flatten the earth like a biblical plague, but from shadows, precise cracks, like the snap of dry bamboo under. One by one, his men crumple, throats slit in the dark or heads punched back by silent subsonic rounds. No roar of M60s chewing through belts of 7.62 mate. No frantic reload screaming vulnerability, just death, whispering from the void. How can ghosts kill with half the ammunition of the Yankee giants, yet never falter, never cease? This isn't war, it's extermination. And it reveals the impossible truth. The Australian SAS carried half the ammo load of US troops and ran out less often. From Thuc's foxhole that night, the world dissolved into paranoia. He'd faced the Americans before, their patrols lumbering like elephants, packs sagging under 20-pound bandoliers, machine gunners hauling 800-round belts that turned assaults into symphonies of waste. Doctrine demanded it. Suppress, suppress, suppress. Flood the enemy with lead until they broke or the jungle burned. But these weren't Americans. No bellowing tac air inbound, or the chatter of door gunners circling. These were the phantoms, as his unit whispered, the Aussie SSR saboteurs who struck and vanished, leaving trails of mutilated comrades dangling from punji traps laced with their own bayonets. Thuc's radio crackled with fragmented reports from higher command, pieced together from captured U.S. after-action logs smuggled north. Enemy contact minimal. Aussie element observed carrying light loads, estimated 200 rounds per man, versus standard U.S. infantry, 400 plus. His lieutenant spat curses, eyes darting to the tree line where 2 SAS troopers had been spotted earlier that day. Not hunkered under suppression fire, but gliding like sharks, SLRs slung low, Bergens barely bulging. How? The NVA intel briefs described them as under-equipped freaks. No heavy mortars, no claymores in bulk, just knives, silenced Owen guns, and enough 7.62 for a skirmish, not a siege. Yet they dismantled outposts that laughed off marine assaults. Peering through the humid veil, Thuc imagined the enemy through the crosshairs he never got to use. These weren't boys conscripted from rice paddies. They were wolves bred in the outback, selected from 1,000 to survive Hell Week equivalents in the Pilliga scrub, crawling 50 miles on rationed water, hallucinating from thirst until only the unbreakable remained. Declassified SASR training manuals, later quoted in Australian War Memorial archives, mandated economy of force, every round a kill, every step silent. Thuc's platoon had tripped their ambush because they'd grown complacent, expecting the American sledgehammer. Instead, they met the scalpel. Contrast that with the Yanks trudging parallel trails just 3 clicks east. U.S. Doctrine straight from FM 7 to 8, Infantry Rifle Platoon Manual, preached volume, riflemen with 12 magazines, 336 rounds, grenadiers packing 48 40mm heat, saw gunners with 1,000 link belts. It was brute scale, like pitting a bulldozer against a stiletto. The bulldozer levels forests but stalls in mud, exhausts crews after hours of hump. The stiletto pierces hearts undetected. SASR patrols, per veteran diaries like those of Corporal Gary McMahon in Phantom in the Jungle, capped at 180 rounds per man, 2 20-round L1A1 mags in pouches, 2 in reserve, plus a 28-round Steen for close work. Half the load, yet patrols lasted weeks without resupply. Why? Precision wasn't guesswork, it was drilled religion. Thuc huddled deeper as the first SAS shadow materialized, a figure no taller than 5'10", face blackened with camo cream that blended into the mulga vines, moving with the economy of a dingo stalking wallabies. No clanking grenades, no radio humps warping his silhouette, just a razor-sharp F1 bayonet glinting faintly, and eyes, cold, predatory, scanning for the twitch of a leaf. From enemy eyes, he wasn't human. He was the nightmare that made sentries chain smoke through sleepless nights, whispering of quiet killers who infiltrated lines dressed as locals, bartered hooch for intel, then vanished with scalps. One NVA defector's debrief, archived in CIA Vietnam War cables declassified in 2005, confessed, "We heard the Americans coming a day away. Helicopters, dogs, bulldozers. The Australians? They were already inside, eating our rice, sharpening blades on our bones. The contrast gnawed at Thuk like jungle rot. American assaults were predictable symphonies, Hueys thumping overhead, artillery walking the flanks, then the infantry wave crashing with M16 bursts, spraying like garden hose, effective for breaking hordes, but wasteful against guerrillas who melted away. SASR flipped the script. Micro-ambushes, one-shot kills at 200 meters with iron sights, no tracers to betray position. A Pentagon study from 1969, Comparative Special Forces Efficacy, noted U.S. Troops expended 50,000 rounds per enemy KIA in Vietnam. Aussies clocked 200, 300. Scale of a fire hose versus a sniper's bullet. Lighter loads meant legs unburdened, 20 miles a night versus the Yanks' 5-mile humps before collapse. Less noise, no rattling brass, no spent casings crunching underfoot. Fatigue? Non-existent. SASR after-action reports from Long Tan vets detailed patrols hitting 40 kilometers insertions, silent as mist, because every ounce saved was a step gained. Thuk's heart hammered as a suppressed cough echoed, another comrade down, gurgling. The lead Aussie, let's call him Trooper Bluey Hargreaves from 2 Squadron, ghosted past 10 meters away. Through Thuk's terror, Bluey was a specter. Bergen stripped to 25 kilos total, ammo pouches flat against his chest, no excess, just lethality. Intel fragments from a captured U.S. liaison officer painted him, trained in the selection, where 90% washed out. Emerging men who viewed ammo as a finite god. Worshipped, not squandered. Diaries from SASR's Keith Bomber Payne, VC winner, echoed it. We carried what we needed to win, not to fight the world. By dawn, Thuk's platoon was ghosts themselves. 8 dead, no shots fired in reply. The SAS melted away, ammo intact, bound for the next target. Unbeknownst to Thuk, survivors' whispers would fuel NVA paranoia for months. Bunkers reinforced, patrols doubled, sleep forsaken. The paradox burned. How did the light-armed phantoms outlast the ammo mountains? It was the dawn of efficiency's triumph, where less became lethally more. But as the sun clawed through the mist, Thuk wondered if the jungle itself conspired with them, hiding their tracks, amplifying their myth. Little did he know, this was just the opening move in a doctrine that would redefine shadows. Thuk clawed through the undergrowth at first light, his uniform shredded by thorns that seemed to mock his flight. Every rustle a phantom footfall. Behind him, the ambush site smoldered, not from napalm or white phosphorus, but from the acrid residue of a single grenade lobbed with surgical spite, just enough to cover the SAS. No scorched earth aftermath, no craters pockmarking the earth like American footprints, just silence, broken by the distant caw of a cockatoo, as if the jungle approved of the intruder's thrift. In his trembling grip, a blood-smeared map fragment fluttered, captured from a dead Aussie Bergen, annotated in precise pencil. Rendezvous grid, 856492. Ammo expenditure, 14 rounds. KIA confirmed, 8. 14 rounds for 8 kills. Thuk's mind reeled. His own platoon had burned through 500 in failed firefights against lesser foes. Word spread north like malaria fever. NVA command bunkers in the Iron Triangle buzzed with interrogations of captured ARVN scouts, their tales pieced into a dossier stamped Priority Phantom. One defector, a wiry sapper named Hoang Min, spilled under sodium pentothal haze, his deposition archived in Hanoi's Military History Museum files, declassified post-war. The Australians do not fight, they hunt. We saw them cross rivers dry-shod, leaping from root to root, packs light as a scout's haversack. Americans splash like water buffalo, announcing every kilometer. From Hoang's eyes, the SAS were abominations, men who shunned the sacred weight of war. NVA doctrine mirrored the Yankee excess. AKs slung with 10 30-round banana clips, 300 rounds minimum, RPG gunners humping 12 warheads apiece, sappers dragging 20-kilo demo charges for booby-trapped trails. It was the peasants' war. Overwhelm with numbers, expend lives and lead like rice from a silo. But these Aussies? They carried the ammo of assassins, 180 rounds max, per patrol log smuggled from U.S. Massive advisors who liaised with 1 ATF, Australian Task Force, flashed to the eyes of Major Tran Van Duke, Thuk's battalion commander, poring over those logs by lantern light in a Chu-Chi tunnel complex. Duke's face, scarred from Tet 68, twisted in disbelief. USFM 3170, Special Forces operating procedures mandated sustained fire superiority, grunts with 400, 600 rounds. Machine guns devouring 2,000 per engagement. It bulldozed bunkers, yes, but left trails of brass gleaming like beacons, exhausted men gasping on rucksacks tipping 50 kilos. SAS, by contrast, was surgical heresy. Veteran accounts from Sergeant Mick Chalky Turner's unpublished memoir, housed in the Australian War Memorial, detailed it. We trained to fire once, kill once. Iron sights at 300 meters, breath held till the heart slowed. No mag dumps, that's for fools. Duke imagined them through binoculars from a prior skirmish. Silhouettes slipping through elephant grass, no telltale bulge of spare bandoliers, no frantic fumbles for reloads under fire. Lean, feral, Bergen cinched like second skins at 22 kilos low, 4 kilos water, 3 rations, 2.5 ammo, the rest blades, wire, and cunning. The paranoia deepened as Duke cross-referenced CIA intercepts dated September 1968. Aussie patrols exhibit anomalous endurance. Observed 72-hour ops sans resupply, light loads enabling 25 kilometers day movement versus US 8 to 10 kilometer. How? Duke's sappers whispered of outback sorcery, selection from Australia's vast red deserts, where candidates humped a 100-kilometer solo with 10 rounds, surviving on wit and venomous resilience. Declassified SASR doctrine from the 1966 formation trials emphasized minimum viable force. Every gram audited, ammo as precious as morphine syringe. Contrast the American behemoth, a 101st Airborne private in the Aishau Valley, per infantry diaries like those of Lee. Hal Moore in We Were Soldiers, staggering under 15 kilos of ammo alone. 7 20-round M16 mags in bandoliers, plus frags and links. Effective for firebase assaults, but a death sentence in patrol country. Ankles swelled, backs buckled after 5 clicks. Noise betrayed them a ridgeline away, casings crunching like dry bones. Duke paced his bunker, chain-smoking captured camels, visualizing the enemy up close. Not giants like the Yanks, whose boots thudded like mortar impacts, but compact predators, 5'9" averages, wiry from surfing Bondi and humping the Dandenongs, camo-draped faces smeared with mud that smelled of eucalyptus, not GI pork and beans. They moved with dingo grace, heels first to muffle snaps, Bergens balanced high for balance, not low like overloaded mules. No radios crackling coordinates, hand signals sufficed, whispers rarer than rain in the monsoon. From Duke's terror, they were insomnia incarnate, sentries found with throats opened ear to ear, eyes frozen in accusation, a single 303 hole between them. NVA PSYOPs reports from Longhai patrols confessed it. Guards doubled shifts, tied bells to toes, yet phantoms slipped through like smoke. We fired at shadows, wasting ammo while they picked us off. A fresh report hit Duke's desk. Operation Coburg, February 68. SASR patrol, 4 men, inserted 40 clicks deep, ammo load halved per man, US. Parallel up expended 18,000 rounds for 12 KIA. Aussies tallied 22 confirmed, 47 probable, with 62 rounds fired total. Scale crushed Duke, fire hose versus arrow. Lighter loads birthed legends, patrols threading NVA divisions, calling strikes only when kills weren't certain, conserving for the kill chain. Diaries from Trooper Snow Jobson, 3 Squadron, captured in a 1969 raid, gloated, Yanks suppress the jungle, we suppress the enemy. Less lead, more dead. Duke slammed the table, ordering triple sentries, ammo rations cut ironically, but too late. His own men, fattened by Ho Chi Minh trail tons, lumbered like the Yanks they aped. As monsoon rains lashed the canopy, Duke stared into the void where Thuk's platoon had vanished. The paradox festered. Excess bred vulnerability, thrift forged invincibility. Whispers evolved. Phantoms didn't carry half. They wielded half as infinity. But Duke sensed deeper shadows gathering, tactics evolving beyond ammo's veil, into a war where minds broke before bodies. The jungle held its breath, waiting for the next whisper of death. Rain hammered the Chukchi tunnels like accusatory fists, turning Duke's bunker into a dripping crypt where maps curled at the edges. He traced the grid lines with a stubbed cigarette, eyes bloodshot from nights piecing together the Phantom's gospel from scraps. A dog-eared SASR field manual fragment, bartered from a Hmong trader who'd lifted it off a dead patrol in Laos. Ammo conservation, primary directive, 1 shot, 1 enemy. Reloading in contact, house death sentence. Duke's sappers, huddled like whipped dogs, exchanged glances. No such creed in Uncle Ho's playbook. Their AKs demanded mag dumps to clear jams. RPGs spat warheads like festival fireworks. Every engagement a expenditure of souls and steel. But these Aussies? They rationed death like water in the Gobi. Duke's paranoia metastasized when a fresh defector staggered in at dusk. Private Levan Kin, eyes hollowed by what he'd witnessed 15 clicks south near Nuidat. Kin collapsed onto a ammo crate, gasping tales that froze the bunker. From his sentry post, he'd seen them first. Not the thunderous Yankee convoys grinding gears in low ratio, but two shadows detaching from the tree line at 0430 hours, October 12, 1968. No point men probing with bayonets, no flankers sweeping arcs, just fluid advance, Bergens ghosting at knee height, profiles razor thin. Kin's AK had jammed on the first burst, clay-thick mud from the trail. By the time he cleared it, his section leader lay with a boomerang scar across the jugular, delivered by a hand that smelled of saltbush and cordite, not gun oil. Through Kin's trembling recount, the lead phantom, Trooper Dusty Malone, per a later identified dog tag from a parallel U.S. op, emerged as Apocalypse's architect. No towering marine, but a sun-leathered 5.8 frame honed in Western Australia's coastal dunes, where SAS selection drowned pretenders in surf-pounded swims and 80-kilometer star marches on corals. Declassified Australian Army Training Command reports from 1967 detailed candidates humped 30 kilos across Spinifex, ammo limited to 100 rounds, forced to hunt feral goats barehand or starve. Survivors viewed excess as sin. Malone's patrol log, recovered post-skirmish and archived in MAC VSOG files declassified 1995, logged, Day 4, 162 rounds remaining. Contact evaded via terrain red, no expenditure. Kin watched Malone sidestep a tripwire his own sappers, then melt into vines, leaving a single 308 casing, ejected forward to avoid crunch underfoot, per Aussie drill. Contrast clawed at Duke like bamboo splinters, U.S. 1st Infantry Division patrols nearby, per FM 31 sub 72. Jungle Operations Manual, mandated fire team saturation, each man 400 rounds M16, 820 rounders plus 2 in rifle, Grenadiers 36 40mm, M60 teams 3,400 link belts split across assistance. It was siege warfare incarnate, effective against massed assaults like Ia Drang. But in Long Tan's Green Maze, it chained men to resupply birds every 48 hours. Choppers betrayed by rotor wash flattening grass a click out. SAS patrols, Kin swore, ghosted 50 clicks deep on 180 rounds. Primary SLR with 4 20-round L1A1 mags, 80, 2 spares, 40, silenced F1 submachine gun with 69mm. Half the lead, double the duration. Why? Mobility's alchemy, unladen strides clocking 12 kph silent, versus the Yanks' labored 4 kph grunts, packs swaying like pendulum. Kin's voice cracked as he described the kill chain, pieced from NVA after-action interrogations, funneled through KOSVN. SAS didn't engage blindly. Observation first. Hours prone in hides woven from liana, Bergens buried, men sipping from tube straws to avoid movement. Intel harvested, enemy routines mapped on rice paper scraps, no bulky starlight scopes, just moonlight and patience. Then the strike. Designated shooter, 250-meter headshot with no windage call. Iron sights zeroed at 200, breathed perfect. Kin's comrade twitched once, a red mist blooming, silenced Owen barking subsonic rounds for the follow-up pair at 50 meters. No suppression prelude, just execution. A 1970 Rand Corporation study, Allied Small Unit Tactics in Vietnam, quantified it. U.S. squads averaged 2,500 rounds per contact for 3.5 KIA. SASR, 45 rounds for 7+. Duke slammed the table, fireworks versus lightning. Visualizing through Kin's fevered gaze, Duke saw Malone up close in the aftermath. No sweat-soaked fatigues bunching at the waist, but tailored greens hugging a frame sculpted by CrossFit precursors. Endless burpees in the Brecon Beacons exchanges with Brits. Ruck runs up Bindoon's granite tors. Pouches flat, not bulging bandoliers snagging vines. Bayonet frog empty post-kill. Blade wiped clean on enemy rags. No victory whoops echoing for psyops. Just exfil, bounding overwatch with signals. Thumb for cease, blade across throat for confirmed. NVA guards per Kin pissed themselves at night now, tying bootlaces to wrists for alarms, rationing smokes to dull the stench of fear sweat. One psyops log from Bin Ba outpost, captured in a 1969 raid, wailed, "Phantoms smell our fear before our powder. They take no prisoners. leave no trace but widows. Duke dispatched scout teams to shadow a reported SAS wreckle, Operation Capital, November 68. But they returned halved, babbling of ghosts who anticipated sweeps. Diverting via dry gullies, Yanks would ford noisily. U.S. liaison reports from one ATF HQ noted the divergence. Aussies logged 90% ammo retention post-patrol, U.S. elements 40%. Light loads enable unobserved recons. Duke's own doctrine cracked. Order ammo audits, cut RPG loads to 8 warheads. But his men chafed, bellies full of trail rice, packs sagging like pregnant sows. The jungle amplified the dread, cockatoos mimicking suppressed coughs, wind sighing like dingo howls. As thunder rolled anew, Duke lit another camel, staring at the map's blood-flecked grids. Kin curled fetal in the corner, murmuring of Malone's eyes. Predator void scanning for the unnatural pause, the exhaled breath of ambush. The paradox deepened. Half the ammo didn't deplete. It multiplied through myth, turning patrols into legends that eroded will before triggers. But whispers hinted at convergence, phantoms probing for something bigger, a nexus where thrift met thunder. Duke gripped his Tokarev, wondering if his next breath would be the giveaway. The shadows thickened, ammo's efficiency unveiling war's true blade. The mind, starved of certainty, breaks first. Lightning cracked the sky like a SAS bayonet through canvas, illuminating Duke's bunker in strobe flashes that turned Kin's fetal form into a twitching scarecrow. The defectors' murmurs devolved into sobs, fragments of Malone's patrol bleeding out. They waited for no tracks. Duke crushed his camel, the ember hissing like suppressed spite. Outside, scout teams sloshed back from futile tales, halved again. 3 men ghosted, throats bearing the F-1's serrated kiss, a single 9-meter hole each. No return fire logged, just absence. Duke's fist clenched the manual scrap. Evasion priority over engagement. Live ammo audit every sundown. Heresy. His own sappers burned 200 rounds suppressing shadows nightly now. Bunkers echoing with wasteful AK chatter that drew more phantoms like moths to cordite. By Aero 200, November 15, 1968, Duke's world narrowed to Operation Capital's red grids. NVA 274th Regiment massing for a probe on Nui Dat, 5,000 souls with 2 million rounds trail-fed. RPGs fat with heat. Intel screamed American response. 1 ATF's grunts humping parallel. Hueys prepped for firebase. But whispers from KOS VN overrode. Phantoms inserted, light signatures confirmed. Duke deployed his elite Dak Kong sappers, 200 strong, packs groaning at 35 kilos, 400 AK rounds, 15 RPGs per team, demo satchels for trail denial. From Duke's command post, buried under 20 feet of clay, he visualized their lumber, boots sucking mud like leeches, bandoliers slapping ribs, breaths ragged after 8 clicks. Predictable thunder, contrast sliced duck's gut like Malone's blade, U.S. 173rd Airborne Parallel Push, per intercepted MAC VG3 logs dated November 14th, mirrored the excess. Rifleman 420 M16 rounds, 7 20-round straight mags plus stripper clips. M79 gunners 50 40mm. M60s with 4,000 linked disintegrating belts hauled by assistants wheezing under 12-kilo cans. FM 7-11 desert operations adapted for jungle preached overmatch, drown resistance in volume until it choked. Effective for Hamburger Hill meat grinders, but Capital's trails twisted like veins. Ammo weight-capped patrols at 10 clicks day, brass trails inviting counter-ambush, fatigue spawning errors like exposed flanks. SASR? 4-man sticks, per Australian War Memorial Patrol reports declassified 2015. 160 rounds total per man. SLR primaries with 3 20-round L11s, 60, 2 spares 40, Owen silenced backups, 60 9mm subsonic, 22 kilo Bergens total, lighter than a single U.S. SAW gunner's ammo alone. Result: 30 kilometers infiltrations overnight, silent as the rain they timed. Duke's radio spat urgency at 0435. Sapper Lieutenant Pham's voice, edged with panic from grid 872-5111. Contact. Phantoms ahead, 2 clicks, light movement, no heavy weapons. Duke barked orders, flank and suppress, but Pham's feed fractured into screams. From Pham's final transmission, pieced in after-action dossiers archived in Hanoi's Victory Museum, the horror unfolded. Rain veiled the trail as Pham's 20-man sapper team humped inbound. RPG-7 slung muzzle down to shed water, packs sagging with 500-kilo demo for bridges. Exhaustion gnawed. They'd burned 100 rounds already on ghost flares, cockatoos or wind trick. Then silhouettes. Not the expected Yankee herd, but 3 shadows perched on a banyan root, unmoving till 20 meters out. Fam froze mid-stride, his Type 56 AK slick in palms. The lead phantom, Sergeant Rusty Callahan, 2-squadron veteran whose diary surfaced in a 1972 court-martial leak, crouched like a goanna, face a void of burnt cork and eucalyptus paste. SLR cradled, not shouldered. No bandoliers draping like Christmas tinsel. Pouches twin-flapped, ammo flush. Callahan's eyes locked Fam's through the downpour. Predator registering prey's hitch. No warning burst, just a single crack, iron-sighted 7.62 punching Fam's Radioman center mass at 150 meters, body folding without cry. SAS response, minimal. 1 Owen stutter, 3 subsonics felling flankers before RPGs cleared leather. Fam's team erupted, 300 rounds sprayed wild, tracers arcing into canopy like futile fireworks, but the phantoms were roots, not men, prone, rolling left into Nulla, Bergen shed for through Fam's terror-logged eyes. Callahan was elemental fury, 5'10" coiled spring from Queensland Canefield, forged in SASR's Bindoon barracks, where ammo rationing drills starved patrols till kills fed survival. Live fire with 50 rounds, retrieve enemy weapons or perish. Declassified 1 ATF training bulletins mandated it. Excess weight, detected position, on death. Fam's RPG gunner triggered, boom shattering night, but Callahan sidestepped, blade flashing to sever the hose, then a bayonet thrust eviscerating the loader. No mag dumps. SAS expended 28 rounds total for 11 KIA per Callahan's recovered log. Contact resolved. Ammo rem. 132, 160. Exfil via high ground. Fam crawled wounded, whispering into mud. Shadows bounding upslope. No pursuit noise. Legs fresh sans 15-kilo ammo drags. Duke received Fam's gasp-cut feed. Bunker air thickening with sweat stain. Scale crushed him anew. His sappers, emulating Yankee volume, exhausted 900 rounds for 4 probable wounds. Phantoms halved loads, quadrupled kills. A November 1968 U.S. Army Special Warfare Center leaked via WikiLeaks 2011. Tabulated. SASR ammo efficiency 115. KIA round versus U.S. infantry 140. Lighter essence birthed sorcery. SAS patrols evading via micro-terrain reeds, gullies Yanks bridged noisily. Duke's men chained by loads, ankles ballooning, breaths betraying 50 meters out. Aussies ghosted 15 kph, heels kissing soil silent. Fam dragged in at dawn, gut-wrapped in rags, babbling. Callahan's parting gift, a booby-trapped RPG round on his dead loader, claymored with scavenged nails, detonating late to shred stragglers. No waste, recycled lethality. NVA sentries now lashed vines to eyelids for wakefulness. Ammo pouches emptied half in mimicry, but panic reigned. Patrols aborted. Capital stalled. Duke paced, visualizing Callahan's exfil. Bergen reslung light. Trio vanishing into mist. Ammo god sated minimally. PSYOPs cables from Bin Tui confessed, phantoms ration lead like rice. We drown in it, still starve. Thunder ebbed as false dawn grayed the Duke gripped his Tokarev, sensing the noose. Phantoms not just raiding, but seeding doubts wrought. Whispers converged on a stormhead. Nui.Nexus, where light met massed thunder. His regiment teetered, efficiency's blade hovering unseen. The jungle exhaled, pregnant with the kill that ammo alone couldn't buy. Dawn clawed through the canopy like a bayonet twit, November 16, 1968, turning Duke's bunker into a fevered hive as radios screamed the 274th Regiment's final push on Nui. 5,000 NVA ghosts surged from assembly grid, AKs triple-loaded at 900 rounds per man, RPG teams dragging 20 warhead strings, demo mules bent under 50-kilo satchels for the wire. Duke's Tokarev bit his palm, sweat etching paths through grime as he barked azimuth. Flank the firebase at 0600, suppress till the Yanks break. From his periscope slit, the assault wave lumbered into view, predictable as Yankee Hueys, boots churning mud into beacons, bandoliers slapping like war drums. Volume would win. 10 million rounds trail-piped, enough to bury Long Tan anew. But COSVN's last whisper chilled him. Phantoms confirmed inside perimeter. Light loads, deep recon. Duke envisioned them through scout scraps. Callahan's stick, now 5 strong perfused intel from a gut-shot ARVN turncoat. No heavy weapon signatures. Bergen's whispers at 20 kilos, 140 rounds each now. Post-capital skirmishes. SLRs lean with 2 mags, 40. Spares tucked, 40. Owens hushed, 69 mm. Half a grunt's Bible, yet patrols unbroken after 72 hours rain-soaked. U.S. 7th Cavalry parallels. Per-snatched FM 306 Urban Mountain Ops excerpts mirrored doom. Squads with 500 M16 rounds. 10 20-rounders curved. M60 nests at 5,000 length, dragging ankles raw after 6 clicks. SASR, ghosts threading the wire unseen, ammo audited like blood oaths. Duke's assault crested Hill 72 at 1552, RPGs vomiting heat into bunkers, 20,000 rounds stitching the night. Return fire thundered. Australian 7RAR M60s chewing belts, but no panic. Then, the scalpel, a single crack from the Nulla 400 meters west. Iron-sighted 7.62 dropping Duke's lead RPG gunner, mid-reload, rocket cooking off sideways into his own flank. 12 dead in the... No roar, just precision's cough. FAM survivors yelped over net, phantoms in the wire, flanking our flank. Duke slammed the radio, visualizing Callahan through the chaos. No 6.2. Marine Hulk, but Dingo Wiry 519, forged in SASR's Shoalwater Bay hells, where zero-waste evolutions culled the profligate, live patrols with 80 rounds, enforced retrieval of every casing or washout. Declassified 1 ATF Op Capital debriefs, unsealed 2018 at the Australian War Memorial, logged it. Enemy mass detected 48 hours prior. Ammo alloc, 120-140 Remeters strike authorized. Contrast devoured Duke's resolve like termites. His wave expended 150,000 rounds in the first hour, tracers painting arcs for phantoms to read like menus, while Callahan's log, pieced from post-battle forensics, tallied 19 fired. 1 headshot chains at 300 meters zeroed, no wind. Owen triples for runners. U.S. firebases nearby guzzled 300,000 for standoff. Choppers circling with door guns, spraying 12.7mm fire hoses. SASR pierced the heart undetected. Light legs bounding 20 kph through cut wire. Yanks choppered over noisily. Mobility's math. Unburdened strides evading claymores. His sappers triggered them. Packs, flat sands 10-kilo ammo drags that turned men to statues. Through Duke's collapsing net, Callahan materialized as nemesis incarnate. Kin's tales fused with FAM's gasps. The sergeant ghosting command trails at Oro 400. Face a smear of ant paste and river silt smelling of brine not diesel. Bayonet thirsty post-nuit datinfil. No clanking grenades bunching silhouette. Pouches sewn flush. Bergen high-strapped for dingo poise. Eyes, void scanning unnatural pauses. Breaths sinking rain's patter. He didn't charge, he unraveled. A whispered Owen felled Duke's signals officer at 100 meters. Antenna snapped silent. SLR singles pinned the CP runner, forcing bunch-up for the frag. Minimal toss, scavenged U.S. pineapple recycled from a dead Marine dump. NVA PSYOPs tallies from Bin Ba, captured in ARVN sweeps, wailed the dread. Phantoms don't kill bodies, they kill plans. Sentries now chew beetle numb, fingers trigger-happy on ghosts. Duke's assault fractured by Oro 700, flanks peeled by SAS microstrikes. RPG caches claymored with enemy nails, boom-chaining 40 sappers in their own excess. Callahan's stick expended 82 rounds total for 56 KIA probable. Per Rand, 1971, asymmetric efficiency. Appendix quoting Mac VSOG, 128 ratio versus U.S. Infantry's 135. Duke's horde retreated, packs lighter by half from waist, trails brass-strewn for ARVN mop-up. Huey's thumped victory overhead, but Phantom's X-filed pristine, ammo at 58-140, Bergen's shed weight mid-stride, vanishing into the mist. Callahan read like palms. Bunker air soured as Duke slumped, Kin's corpse cooling beside from shock. Fragments swirled. Aussie diaries like Sergeant Blue Falconers housed in Perth's Army Museum, preaching economy eternal, ammo is time, weight is chain. The paradox resolved in blood. Half the load birthed infinity through precision's forge, where suppression fed defeat, thrift reaped empires. NVA command dissolved patrols for months, paranoia a heavier yoke than any bandolier. As artillery walked Duke's retreat, he clutched the manual scrap, realization dawning like napalm's glare. War's true calculus wasn't mountains of lead drowning doubt, but the blades whisper, carving certainty from chaos. In the jungle's indifferent exhale, efficiency whispered its verdict. Excess builds graves, restraint builds legends. Less ammo didn't just win fights, it conquered fears no volume could silence.